Yeah,
You can
okay.
go,
Let's have
if you
some
like.
just general talk first of all. So just so I get back into myself again, as it were, and we can just do some general chat about uh, things that have been happening on your spiritual paths. Because I feel, like, for example, with yourself, I feel that you're a very spiritually inclined person. I feel you do a lot of work, liking to help other people very much
Mm,
too. So I
yeah,
sense with you strong family connections. You're a person that really does um, put more in than you take out, because I feel you overwork a lot of the time deliberately.
mm,
It's like you always give the extra mile with
yeah,
people.
that's true.
Yeah, and
That's
there's
true.
sort of like quite a strong sort of, I feel quite a strong natural healing side to you as well, actually, because you're a
Right.
person that has got a very good sympathetic ear with people. You like to help young people, particularly, not just within family, but I feel generally with this type of thing. You'd be very good working with any type of innocent type of people. You'd be all very good working with animals as well, because I can sense this sense with you that there's a feeling of wanting to be a helper to others, a sort of a mentor a little bit with the way you do
Yeah.
things. So my feeling with the type of work you would do, it would need to link into something where there's a very much a human interaction with it, because I feel
True.
you're kind of a hands-on person, actually, but
Yeah.
completely opposite to what I said before. But I just feel you're a hands-on person that has a kind of, you like to see yourself as a bit of a kind of universal mother, if you see what I mean,
Yeah.
a surrogate
Yeah.
mother sometimes to people.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel also with you, you're very good with the written word as well, because there's a very strong sense with you that you're very good with things like writing and putting things in a very clear, precise way. Also multilingual, I feel. Do you speak three languages?
Uh, yeah. Yeah. Three, nearly four. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
because I feel this languages thing with you, that
Yes.
I could sort of put a lot of language type of understanding there. So anything with communications, anything where you might be able to use those languages, I feel would be very useful for you in a career if you do a career change. Because would I be right in saying at the moment you're not working at all? You've had to stop
Correct.
completely, right?
Absolutely.
And that the people you were working for before, was it sort of they didn't completely close down, but it seemed to shut down by half. I feel as if half their staff left or something. It seemed big to small.
Yeah, it could be. I mean, in my case, to be frank, I've not really worked permanently for many years now. Just, like a
Okay.
nomad, really, more than anything
All
in
right, because I
various.
just felt as if whatever it was you were with before, it seemed like it all contracted and it all closed down, and they not completely laid off, but it was like
Yeah,
they're getting rid of people as quick as they could, you know.
I think it's.
Yeah, and I feel with you, you've also got, like I say, I get young people, I get that sort of feeling, I get this sort of mentoring sort of feel. So
You're
I just,
absolutely. You're
I,
absolutely. Yeah, you're
so,
tuned in.
yeah, so I'm with it now. You see, so I also sense with you. I mean, you're not strictly a teacher, but I would think the teaching aspect of it could come in with it. This as well,
Well done.
I'd say,
Well done.
right? Because I feel the teaching side of it is important.
Yeah.
But I'm not seeing a teacher in the normal sense, like in the educational system. I feel like
Correct.
I'm more like I've done something which is more like helping people who have difficulties. And I don't
Hmm.
know if you've thought about working with people, like children particularly, that might have learning difficulties. I get something like a feeling with that, right? Now, this
Okay.
is a possible new field for you, but
Yes.
so I feel it could link in with this idea of being a healer in a way, because even when you're talking to someone, your energy helps them, and helps them to sort of connect. So I just want to say that's kind of the feeling I want to say is the direction I want to look, right? I want to look into something where I'm helping the young people, I'm helping people that might have a disability, particularly because I feel it's as if it's a door that could open easily because there's some need there, and I
Yes.
think it would help you, particularly with the communications. You're a good communicator, but also written reports that would have to go with this as well, because
Right.
it's quite
Right.
a psychology feel to it.
Yeah.
um, and I think this is something you could do where you train in the job as well.
Right.
So they don't have to train, then do, and I feel like a train in the job. And I feel that there might be connections already around you of people that are in a similar field to that, I have to say, because I can
Right.
get this feeling that there's people that would help you with that and be keen to give you the boost and the push in that direction. So as I don't think it's something I can say this will happen by this date and this will happen like this, because it's a question of you beginning to start networking with people to get the connections, because I feel it's something that can come from personal introduction as opposed to seeing an ad online or something like that. It's like,
Okay.
we need some more people helping with this, and you would come into that field. And I don't see it as being hugely paid at first, but I do feel as if it's very rewarding. And I get the feeling it's like, for you, it's like you're so frustrated of pacing up and down the front room all day long. I feel you're feeling you want to put your worth out there and do something that's kind of showing to your family and to everyone else that, you know, you're valuable, not just as, like Jane is, just doing the ironing all day long. She's not here, so I can say things like that. You know what I mean? You want to get out there and feel you're making a mark on the world. And I feel this would be quite important to you to do this, because just spiritually, it would help you a lot. Okay, so that's what I've got to say for you with that. So that's more your practical path rather than your spiritual path. But for you, it is also a bit linked in with the idea of a spiritual path. Like
Yes.
Barbara says, work is worship. And I feel that's very much what the way you like to work with this kind of karmic idea, that we do good and it brings good, and it clears our karma to help us to spiritually advance. So just to think of it on a higher level as not just an occupation, but as something kind of a little bit of a quality of a calling with it. And that's where I'll have to leave that with you there. All right.
Use some positive feedback. So I took a franchise from the UK in children's communications.
Right.
So that was good. When you tuned in, I'm a trainer. I'm also managing the whole thing because of the pandemic, and because I was raising my son, it got delayed. So it's exactly what you said. And I'm writing my own programs. And it's also, interestingly, looking at children, not who have difficulties in speech, because I'm not qualified in that area.
No, I didn't mean that. I felt more in terms of people that had inability to communicate, full stop.
Exactly. So I'm things like that, and it's very different. Like, you know, it's me. It's very different.
Okay.
So very good. That was when you picked up. Not.
I've lost the sound.
I don't know why the mute went.
Yours. Yeah.
So you're right that I'm not a teacher. I am a trainer. It is like teaching, but it's not.
It's got that feel.
It's communications for children. So
okay.
Spot on.
Good, good. As long as that helps a little bit, you know, just to give you a little bit of a pointer in the direction. I think the fact that I've picked up on it, I felt it, it's obviously naturally meant to be with you that type of way, you know, and I feel pretty good about it. And just really the word to you, I think I have to say is perseverance. Perseverance furthers, as the Ching often says, you know, persevere with it, because you will get there eventually. Okay.
Thank you.
All right, well, I'll take another question from someone if you like. I don't necessarily always want to be given readings, but I can sort of, I do naturally, sometimes we'll move into them. So who would like to go? Anybody else with another question? Pat there, I think. Or Gail. Yeah. Is it Pat? Yeah, Pat. Hi, Pat. Yeah.
Yeah. Hi, Craig. I'm just wondering, how do you take your psychic development forward when there are no spiritualist circles sitting or anything like that? You know,
no.
The pandemic. How do you take things forward, or do you just patiently wait, sit and meditate every day?
Well, I mean, there's two ways. It's good to develop spiritually and psychically and mediumistically with a group. You really do need a group, and I think you've sat with groups before, haven't you, Pat? I think.
I haven't sat with a psychic. No.
Well, haven't you been involved in spiritualism? Don't get spiritualism. Right?
Well, I mean, I've done yoga in the past, and I do qigong at the moment.
Okay, well, let's just divide it up first a little bit, because there's lots of different ways we can develop spiritualism, for example. I mean, a lot of people would be very interested in becoming like a psychic or a medium. That's one spiritual way of developing, you know. Another person might like to become a healers and things like that. That's another form of spiritual development. And more importantly than that is our own personal spiritual development that doesn't really show anything in the outside world, really, but is in the inner process. And all of these things can take different forms. So certainly I think as an individual, each of us, whatever our interests in world, even if we're, we're a businessman or whatever, we should all take an interest in developing our own inner spirituality, shouldn't we? We should all take some focus on that. And that is something that we can only do. It's us and God, as it were, in a way, or however you want. Perhaps God's the wrong word, because I think misunderstood word often. But it's us and the universe. It's us connecting, and that can be done alone, quietly. And there are obviously techniques that help you to strengthen that. But even simply, there's a Zen poem that says, "Sitting quietly, doing nothing, spring comes and the grass grows by itself." It's the most simplest idea of all, is you sit just quietly and be. You don't need any of these techniques. You don't need any of these meditation methods. You just sit and be. Don't fall asleep, hopefully, because that's where the mind comes in. So we bring into that other techniques that can help us to develop the focus of concentration that is required, because when we go within ourselves, there's two things that are needed. Meditation doesn't come without first having concentration, which is slightly different to Western idea of concentration, but one pointed mind. So this is where all the techniques come in. Now, during this COVID problem, we got so many problems. If you want to sit in a group, it's pretty much at the moment impossible, because all the yoga classes and things are all shut. Well, I know, fabulous groups that I know of, all shut down, all hanging on by their fingertips to keep surviving and going online, but still it's not quite the same. So there's a lot of online stuff. I am thinking actually of doing an online development group, which I might even start off here in the Patron section just to get it started. I'd probably then move that on later on to do my own sort of development group that I'd charge for properly. But I thought, I might do some of that as part of the group, but it could be done. What I'm thinking of doing is doing a regular thing every Monday evening at about 6 o'clock. I'll have to check those times out, but that would also be quite useful, because then we could get a set structure to it. So we could start like I would in a normal circle with a meditation to begin with, so we can get tuned in, and then I would give some messages to people as I come out of the meditation, and I could also help people to give messages yourself if you wanted to do it as a development type of thing.
Great. Sorry to cut in, but can we do circles remotely? Can you talk about the energy thing on that?
Yeah, Laura, it's kind of it's harder because excuse me, when we're all together in a room, fantastic energy. Have you sat in a circle before? Yeah. What type of spiritualist type circle is it?
Yes. And psychic development a little bit as well.
Yeah.
But and the protection though, because you can feel the protection go around when we're together.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to figure it out in my own mind how that works virtually.
Yeah, good question. Excellent question. Because if you're used to sitting in a spiritual circle, you will notice that you kind of get enveloped in an energy, don't you? And that acts as a protection. Yeah. Mm-hmm. But I've also done this in the past, because I used to run chat rooms, right? And we used to, before we were able to communicate like this with video, I ran a number of circles with a number of spiritualists actually, and the Spiritualist National Union picked it up in the end and started doing a similar thing. In which we'd run a circle online using chat rooms of all things, just typing it as we went. But we would find that our energy would interconnect, because you think about it, our energies can connect. I've just done that reading for a moment ago for Sheila, didn't I?
I was thinking the same thing, actually.
How does it happen? Where are you based, Sheila? You're miles away. Are you in India?
Yeah, I'm in India. I'm near Delhi.
Yeah, you're in Delhi. Okay. So Laura, you see, it can it's the same thing. The energy will connect through the universe itself. Yes. So we would, and if you have worries, Laura, for example, about being about protection, I mean, I think some mediums get a bit over carried away with this prayers and protections and things. Actually, when you do the spiritual work and you open your inner light, you are naturally protected, because darkness cannot penetrate light, you know. We're always protected. So if you get a bit jumpy about the idea of being on your own doing it, you wouldn't need really to worry, because if you're doing it with the right frame of mind and you're a sensible person, you know, you're not someone that's going to go, you know, Ouija boarding it and all the rest of it and trying to do things or go straight into trance before you've even started, you know. I feel that you'd be fine, you know, you'd be fine to do it like that. And all of us, if we work like that, can work like that. It's perfectly safe. In fact, it's miraculous, really, because it starts to teach you that it's not about picking up something that's the person in front of you. You know, when I tune in, I kind of tune in to the universe, as it were, and it just comes. You know, I'm not picking up from the person's aura. So I think that's part that will improve your ability, if that's the way you want to go, you know. So
is there much of it happening, Craig? Do you know? Is there many circles going online at the moment?
Well, I'm going to run one here on this Patron, so you'll be able to come in on it on the Mondays. I'm going to set it up. I don't know how I'm going to structure it yet, because I'm going to try to do something every Monday, and I think to do it as a form of a circle would be quite a nice thing to do, really, you know, because then because it is dreadful that there are so few teaching mediums out there anymore, you know? And the ones that I've seen, I think that they're off on an ego trip, you know, or they're wanting to do their own trance type thing so that their powers get enhanced, but nobody else's, you know. Anyway, that's my personal feeling about it. So it looks like I've got a few more wanted to come in. No. So, you know, that's the way I'd work it. I'd feel I'd try to do it in such a way that you can learn remotely, and you can indeed. It's better if you can sit in a private personal circle. It's better if you can, and it's obviously it's nice because you can build the energy up week by week, and when you all get in there, you feel the energy and you settle into it like a big comfy settee. But it's still we can still work without that energy sometimes too. It's harder, but it can work. And I've been trying to get this new office going, you know, this new studio, I don't know what we whether to call it, studio or center yet. It's just basically a room, and we're going to set it up like a seance room so that we can do all the readings there, and we can do a regular thing from there, and then also interconnect remotely with everybody as well, and build an energy. So we've got both. We've got the best of both worlds. We've got the energy of the circle, and we got the energy of the people connecting remotely. But we've been struggle with all this coronavirus to find the right places, or anywhere that's not sort of officey, or you know, or feels like a escape hut, you know, something we can build the energy up, you know. But so so that's because we're renting it, the first one, of course, but good step, I think. And if you're interested, that's what I'm hoping to do, and why it's quite good to have a chat like this today, to get your ideas, you know, if anybody else wants to. Do others think that's a good idea?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or do you think it should be developed a little bit beyond the idea of mediumship and psychic? Because really, these are just part of the gift, aren't they? I mean, psychic and medium is not the whole thing. You know, it's much more about awakening and becoming an awake human being, about becoming spiritually aware, isn't it? Really.
Yeah. Yes.
But, yeah, you know, because I think the psychic world can be a trap sometimes. You know, I mean, they go off and once you think you've got a psychic power, you think you're better than everybody else, and you see you see big egos with it and things. I think, well, actually, you wouldn't call someone spiritually marvelous just because they got a good voice, you know, would you? I mean, they're a good singer, wonderful. We can all listen to it and think marvelous, but it doesn't mean to say that they're spiritual. They can be horrible people, you know. And it's the same with every talent, you know. And ultimately, the most important thing for all of us is to develop our spiritual worth, you know, develop things like kindness, compassion, love for people, you know, selflessness, all those things that elude most people, including ourselves, you know. It's things that we've got to develop, those qualities of the heart, as well as just those acidity powers, as they call them in India, you know. So yeah, that's hopefully answered that question. Anybody else wants to pick up on something else with another thought?
I just have a question regarding that the circle. What tiers will be able to participate in that circle?
I'm going to probably have, obviously, the $25 tiers, or the top tiers, as it were. I'm going to give preference to those, but I will also allow the second tier. So I've called them Elysium and Olympus for the two tiers. So I don't know what tier you're on, Elizabeth, but I would give priority to the Olympus. I'll probably run them weekly, and some weeks it can be everybody, and some weeks it will just be for the higher tier people, because obviously they're helping a lot with the site, with what they do, and I could probably run it that way. So you'll all get something. Probably not on the $3 ones, the initial ones, because that's kind of like a taster for people, really. People just can help support the site.
Okay, thank you.
Is that right? What's yours tier, Elizabeth?
I'm in the $9, but I mean, I'm very interested of doing this circle, and I can upgrade to the 25. Yeah.
Well, don't do it yet. Let's see if it works first. If it's, you know, because I mean, a lot of people just join. I know a lot of people are in at $25, for example, who are just there just to support what we do and don't want anything from it. And I think that's absolutely wonderful when people can do that and help us to move it forward. So yeah, see how we get on, see how we get on with the first groups. But I think the plan initially is to have, I'll probably open it up first of all to get it moving, everybody for a while, and then I'll restructure it a little bit as we move along. But anyway, it's all not that expensive anyway, is it really? A month, you know, a couple of magazines, and I mean, 30 quid for a Chinese meal last night, you know. Yeah, okay, takeaway. Yeah, so yeah, so that's kind of the way I'd like to take that. Does that feel fair to everyone like that? Yeah. Because I like to, I'm not doing this, because remember, the money that comes in for this don't go to me, it goes to the foundation, you know. So the money's will ultimately, I mean, I benefit in that it's lovely to be able to do this spiritual work, you know, but it also means it takes a lot of the pressure off of, you know, doing things, you know, for reward. But it helps. It's going to also help with our charitable work. I don't know if some of you saw that one of our patrons helped with buying a cow for somebody in India this week, which I thought was really, you know, it's fantastic when you see that. And I know it can be very helpful for the person that does it too, because, you know, good karma follows. So any more questions anybody would like?
Yeah, if no one wants to jump in, I have a question. Thank you firstly for all the videos. It gives a lot, so thank you so much for doing them. Really enjoy them. One of my questions is, I've watched you explain sometimes when you touch things, you can pick up on things. I occasionally, I don't even know if there's a name for it, I'm sure there is, but I don't know what it would be. I sometimes feel like I've time jumped for a few seconds. Okay. And I can see and hear and smell different things, and it does throw me at times, because sometimes if I touch something, but even if it doesn't always have to be if I've touched something. Yeah. And I just is there a name for it?
Yeah, okay, Laura, that's a good question. Is when I teach, I've taught sort of psychic development groups for years and years and years. And I normally start people off with this idea of what we call psychometry. What you're talking about is psychometry, first of all. So you take an object, so you've got somebody's watch, for example, you know, and you don't know whose it is, and you hold it, and you just talk about whatever comes into your head. I teach people it's got to be verbal diarrhea. You know, it's just got to go, you know, it's got to be out of control. You just got to not let the mind get in the way and talk about what the object you're holding. Well, not about the object, about the person that owned that object, because on an object is set impressions. But sometimes that can also link you into another phase where you kind of pick up on even bigger pictures. Like, for example, I did some work with archaeologists, and they'd hand me objects. And I didn't even see what the object is, you know, so they put it in my hand and I talk about it. And I just describe whatever comes into my mind. And often, most of the time, in fact, it was bang on about the historic period, about the people that would have owned it, about the times it was in, you know, and I had no idea what these things were. You know, one minute they might put something from the Stone Age in my hand, another minute it was something from King Alfred's court, another thing it was, and all these type of things. And so it proves in a way that we can, with this kind of psychometry, link into quite incredible things, because what we're actually doing is we're linking in ultimately to the mind of the universe.
Yes.
And they say with psychometry, because ultimately I obviously take people to the point where they can start to develop mediumistic communication, mediumistic being communication with the spirit world, right?
Yes.
And we can't use an object or any form of tool to communicate with the spirit world. So we're not allowed to use tarot cards, certainly within spiritualism, you're not allowed to use Ouija boards, tarot cards, any tools for communicating with the spirit world. So if you're doing psychometry, you might pick up, it might have been, say, grandmother's watch you're holding, you might give it a personality thing with grandma, but if you want to do a spirit link with grandma, you've got to put that down and then make the link separately, so you're not getting it from the object, but you're getting it direct from spirit. And this is kind of quite an important thing that most mediums seem to ignore. They don't seem to have been taught even the basics nowadays, that you don't use tools. I've seen people use tarot cards to make spirit links. You know, that's an absolute no-no. So those are the sort of things I teach. You know, I'd give you some guidance. I don't know how we could do psychometry, because I mean, we got people, I did try it once on the chat rooms, and we got people posting stuff to each other. So I said, right, you know, you can exchange addresses and post something not valuable that you don't need returned. Like even a letter can act, you know, an unopened letter can act as a psychometry. And we've even, we can't do it by post, but I used to sometimes, we tried another one with psychometry, where we put all different, we numbered a load of envelopes, and I put all different herbs in each envelope, and a person had to give the healing properties of what they were touching, you know, and then we'd look it up in cold peppers afterwards, you know, to see if they were right, you know. And also remote viewing exercises and things like that, where you'd give person just a map reference and they wouldn't know where the hell that was, and then ask them to pick up on that map reference. And then when the map reference is revealed, you know, oh, it's the Eiffel Tower, or it's the Taj Mahal, or it's North Korea, or something like that. You know, it's so these experiments in ESP, as it were, can be very useful, and they can work remotely as well. Although they're, what I'm describing there is more like fun stuff, you know, but also hopefully we do that sometimes, but also develop the more important underlying spiritual gifts. But all these gifts come naturally if one develops spiritually, and they will awaken by themselves. They are things that will happen. And as Patanjali says, who wrote the Yoga Sutras, he tells you not to be distracted by psychic powers, because they are secondary things. You know, they're things that you can, they're like tools. They can be very useful to help people. You know, they can be very good to help you to, you know, help somebody if they've got a problem and things like that. But it's not the goal. The goal is the infinite, I suppose, you know, the self-realization, the understanding of who we are and what we are in this universe, you know. So that way and so often if you develop the spiritual insights, the gifts will come anyway. You don't even have to develop them. You'll just find you've got them. And the ones that we talk about so much in the West here are the lower levels of the spiritual gifts. You know, they're the easy stuff, the telepathy, the clairvoyance, the precognition. There's other ones, like being in two places at once, for example, some of the, you know, or being able to will people to come to you, or the ability to will things to change in the world around you. I mean, those are the higher city gifts that were here in the golden ages before we entered the dark age, they call now Kali Yuga. So so we have to be very humble with these things, you know.
Craig?
Yeah.
Can you hear me? Sorry, it's Gail.
Gail, hi Gail, yeah.
Hi. One of the videos you did recently, which I was really interested in, was this business of the consciousness and connecting. And obviously we're all concerned about COVID, and one point you raise is about overcrowding and the environment suffering. But I'm wondering, because of COVID and because of more remote things, if, you know, your site is growing, you know, this business of possible meditation with lots of people, albeit remotely. I mean, can we help raise the vibration and help heal? Because something got to be done. You know, I was very interested in what you said.
Yeah, I have been thinking about that a lot, actually, Gail. Not just in terms of maybe doing a meditation, but I've also got, there's also a, I'm also in touch with some people, ex-Sai Baba, well, not ex-devotees, Sai Baba devotees that I knew very well from India. And they've got a nice place in a lovely setting where we can build what we call a yagna, or homa, which is like, Sheila will know about this, I think, but this is like where you build the fire. And these fires, you cast things into the fire as you do these very, very powerful ancient chants. And I thought it would be nice to stream that live on YouTube, because we want to do that as a meditation. And we have a very someone very high up in the organization there that is trained in all this, who knows all the mantras, and I don't know those mantras, they're so complicated. I thought I could do that as one thing, but also it would be rather nice too, wouldn't it, to do our own meditations, and maybe sometimes, instead of putting a video up, I could advertise it, and we could I could do a live meditation with everybody, couldn't we? That would be quite a nice one, separate perhaps to the me and Jane ones on a Friday. But I've been launching my own videos mainly on Thursdays, so yeah, that might be a nice idea. It's a matter of contacting everybody. I suppose the live ones, people do come in pretty quick, don't they? Yeah, there's no reason we couldn't do that. That would be quite a nice to do, just as occasional, maybe. Yeah,
I think it's a fabulous idea of Gail's as well, about this whole idea of connecting and sending out positive vibrations.
Yeah,
as you know, is good out there and good for us.
yes,
it comes. And as a team, if we connect like that, if we can do that online, I mean, I think it's
also kind of for all of us, actually, because I don't know about you, but I feel kind of what Jane and I have been doing is kind of acting a bit like a hub for a lot of people that think very similarly, you know. And yes. I'm really amazed, because I can censor all the comments that come on, you know, and I never have to delete anything, hardly ever at all. You get, apart from the occasional spammers that just go round, you don't get any real. It seems like everybody seems to be very united around some of the ideas that we've been talking about, you know. And you, like you say, it's a very powerful thing that we could use, couldn't we? We could use.
Yeah.
Because people love me to tell about predictions and all the rest of it, but actually it's all in our hands ultimately. Can we not also change the way that the world is going purely by the power of our thought? Or as George Harris said, with our love we could change the world, he said, didn't he? You know?
Yeah.
And I think just as an individual, we need techniques to kind of focus ourselves. It would be really nice to do something like that.
Is there a way of linking with Sai Baba? Because when I went to Australia, I was very lucky, because my original Reiki masters did go and meet Sai Baba and had sittings with him.
Yeah.
I never met him. I would love to have met him, but when I was staying at them, I was looking at myself in the mirror and his face superimposed on mine. And I still don't know to this day why, because I had a huge break in my spiritual development and it's sort of coming back now big time. And I still think there's something I've got to do, but I don't quite know what yet.
Well, the thing with Sai Baba is you don't need to go through an intermediary. The whole thing about him and any great developed conscious being, you know, whether it be Sai Baba or it be any of the great beings, they come to you directly. So let it come through. If it sometimes I quite often get dreams of Sai Baba, so I'm very lucky in that respect. And sometimes I can't understand them either, but they're very, very bright and very, very clear. And I think if you open yourself to it, if if it's Sai Baba, your guru, or whoever's your guru, as it were, or whoever you feel spiritually connected with, Jesus as well, you know, whatever your connection with, the great spiritual masters will come to you directly. And sometimes it will come through your intuition, because we have, all of us, a side of us that is kind of beyond ourselves and over self. What I like to think is, I think of it as the conscience, actually, is the main part of it. Because like the conscience, for example, you look what the conscience is, it knows what's right and wrong. You know, whatever we might think or not think, that we have a sort of another level of ourselves that is kind of like a higher being. So so I can't remember what your question was now, but it's kind of like, yeah, let it happen, you know,
Yeah,
let it happen.
let it be.
Yeah, let it be, and go with what your heart tells you, because your heart's always right usually, isn't it, when you think about it? I mean, you know, when you really get to what your heart tells you, and not your anger tells you, not your upsets tell you, not your conditioning, but what really deep down inside, that's all of us have an inner guide, as it were, which I think connects with all the great beings. They're all the same, you know, whichever path we take, they're all the same being. They're all the same light coming through like a stained glass window and breaking into many different colors. We see them in many different ways. And each of us is, in our very essence, already enlightened as well. We are that being ourselves. And I think that's important to remember, that we can also, we have within our power, we have within ourselves incredible powers to change ourselves and to change the world, you know. And going back to the original thing we were talking about there, about doing a group meditation, yeah, let's do that. I think that would be a lovely thing to do, and I will get that organized, and we'll put something, I'll do a live, and we'll put that on live. So actually I'm going to put this on YouTube as well, I think, this one, so I'll put this one out there. So anybody watching this now, don't forget all these kind people here that have been coming up with the ideas. We're going to do a live meditation for the world, and so come and join us, and put your comments in the bottom, so that and subscribe. I always tell people to subscribe, even here, you know, subscribe to this, and then you'll get updates, and then we'll arrange that probably on a Thursday, I think, because that's often seen as a very spiritual day, particularly those that are interested in Sai Baba. Yeah. Might be able to do it tomorrow, maybe. Yeah, could do. Yeah, I could do, perhaps. Yeah, I might, if I can, I might even try to do it tomorrow, because enough people, so keep an eye open. Okay, I think I want to try to keep these to about an hour, so I'm going to finish in a moment. So is everybody happy with that? Anybody been bursting to say something and not said it? No? Okay. All right, well, hopefully, yeah.
It's been wonderful. Thank you for creating this community.
Yeah, my pleasure. I mean, I thank you for being the community. I mean, I'm only part of it, aren't I? I mean, these things happen. They just happen, don't they? And we just go along with it and take part in it. Yeah, but yeah, it's lovely. I always like working with other people, because I think, what does they say? The whole is greater than the sum of its parts. You know, and I think when you bring a lot of people together, the energy between it, you find this in circles too, like we were saying before, with the energy in a circle, the energy becomes greater, doesn't it, than each of us individually. You know, it's not multiple. How many of us are there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 or 7 of us on here at the moment. You know, it becomes greater than 6 people, becomes like 1,000 people, because it's like our energy magnifies each other. And if we can do that online, yeah, I think that would be an absolutely fantastic thing to do. So I'll have a think about that, and it might be possible to do that one. It's very, very soon. Anyway, yeah, so great. So thanks for all joining us here today.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much for coming. All right, and I'll do another one. I'm probably going to do these Mondays, like I say. So we'll get some more of these organised if you'd like to join me again.
Okay.
Okay then.
Thanks,
See you all.
Brian.
Bye for now.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thanks. Bye. My wife Jane and I do our public work for free. We raise money through the theatres to raise money for our Hamilton Parker Foundation. This is a not-for-profit company that is soon to be registered as a charity. Now, our work is going in to help with the objectives of this charity, but you can help us as well by becoming what we call a patron of this channel. Now, as a patron, you'll get, first of all sorts of really interesting benefits. You'll have a sort of behind the scenes look at what goes on with our work. You'll get videos before other people. You'll get new videos. You'll get all sorts of benefits that are explained in the Patron website, and it has various tiers that you can subscribe to. So you can subscribe to just a little bit and get a few benefits, or you can subscribe a lot and get a lot of benefits. And what this means is that we can raise some money through this channel. Now, this money's not going to me and Jane to give us a fancy lifestyle. This money is going into our foundation that has some fantastic objectives. Now, the first thing we want to do with the foundation is, first of all, get a cyber center together, a cyber temple, as it were, a place where we can introduce new people to you through this channel. So by supporting this channel and giving something to the as a patron, you will find that this channel will start to get better and better content with more and more interesting things going on. We'll be able to get the cameras, we'll be able to have the space, we'll be able to have the right setting where we can build the energy to do things such as mediumistic circles and so forth online. But also our work extends further than that, because we are hoping ultimately to build a spiritual center, a psychic ashram, as it were, where people like you can come to visit and take part in an interactive way through this channel as well. But also we are doing a lot of what we call spiritual service. We are going out and giving a large part of the income we generate to people in India who are destitute. We've given to schools, we've fed children that are in need, we've helped mentally handicapped people, we've given cows to old people in India. Some of all this you'd have seen in my movie Mystic Journey to India on Amazon. But all of this is part of our mission, part of our remit to help the world. Because we're not only trying to find our divine nature, we're also trying to live what we learn and express it in ways that are really beneficial to the world. So if you follow this channel, but more importantly, if you become a patron of this channel, you can help us to take this whole mission onto a much higher level than any psychic work has ever been done before.